Hey folks, this is Steve, Contingency Preps, and Paul from HTF, the Survival Store. Uh, we've been tossing around some different things to talk about, and something that happened to me just a couple of weeks ago, we have been talking about, and we've been talking about it with others. And what it is overall is has to do with concealed weapons, the CWP, use of force, and actually having to draw your firearm and escalate, de-escalate, etc. What actually happened was, in a nutshell, I was pulling out of a shopping center parking lot, and this was at about 10:18 p.m. And they'll have the long driveway going out to the main road, and as I turned onto that and I was halfway up it, I could hear a siren, and then I heard a crunch, and in front of me on the main boulevard, I saw a car go sliding sideways across the intersection. Well, just then I went ahead and let my foot off the gas and started to apply the brake. By the time I stopped my vehicle, I could see that two cars were crunched, but more importantly, I could see a police officer off to my left, with his firearm out and aimed at one of the vehicles, yelling, "Show me your hands, show me your hands." So what did I do? Well, I put it in reverse because that's not where I need to be. As soon as I put it in reverse, I started to back up. Two clowns pulled up behind me, just behind me, and sort of, made faces in my mirror like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was effectively blocked in. So next thing I did is I backed the truck at an angle. I only had a few feet to work with, but that put my engine block squarely between me and what could happen. That was about protecting me.
Good thought.
And then I reassessed, and I could see the police officer was not moving, and he was still yelling at this vehicle, "Show me your hands, show me your hands." So what did I do? There were no other police officers there, as I obtained my handgun. I opened my driver's door. Yes, I put it in park first. I opened my driver's door. I put one foot on the ground, as a shooter's stance that you might have trained on, and I kept my handgun down low below the dash, like this, and ready to come up if I needed to, but I wasn't going to show that gun. So that was the situation, and I'll tell you how it resolved in a minute.
Was the hair sticking on the back of your neck?
Always.
So this was an active chase then was going on, and then one of the cars, two cars.
Yeah, I never found out the whole story. I looked on the news when I got home, but heck, there's so much crime and such anyway, even in our peaceable community, that some things just sort of get washed away. But obviously, it seems to me that the police officer was chasing this guy, and the guy got in an accident. So it was a full at least 3 minutes. I could hear sirens coming, but the traffic was kind of heavy, and so it was at least about 3 minutes before the other police officers got on scene. Now, I have heard a million stories about this kind of thing, and what people say they would do and what people did do that was incorrect and such, and I really think I did the right thing, because if I'm going to play hero, now let me say that a lot of this has to do with ego, and a lot of guys, a lot of male CWP holders have ego attached to that somehow, and so that's a problem. That is a problem. You've got to remove your ego from that. Now, if I'm going to play, Paul Blart Mall Cop and jump out of the vehicle with my handgun visible to back up that police officer, well, I'm dead wrong. I am dead wrong, because I have now introduced another unknown shooter, myself, into the scenario, and that police officer needs to take away his attention from his primary threat because he doesn't know who I am, and he has got to deal with me. And guess what? I'm probably going to jail.
Well, it's, obviously you've had training, because I would have never have thought about putting my vehicle in that position, to back up, sideways to have the engine block and in between us like that. So it shows that you have some level of training. The normal guy who just has a CWP is never going to think of something like that. I mean, it's good to know. It's a great piece of information.
Yeah.
But as far as and that was the question when you told me this story the other day was, okay, what are the steps of, so you're not physically endangered at that point, so that you've pulled your weapon, but you're in a position where bullets might start flying.
Yep.
And you're in a position where the officer is by himself. I don't know if you knew what the assailant or what the person was or was not, or if there was multiple or whatever.
Couldn't tell who was in the vehicle, if there were more than one person or anything.
So more than anything, you were at the ready to be ready.
Exactly. And was I justified? Absolutely, because if you've taken the CWP classes, some of you, it might have been a while, and you need to review this stuff, because you can use deadly force in defense of yourself or another, and that is to prevent someone from using deadly force on you or another. And if something happened, if there was shooting coming from that vehicle, then that police officer was at risk, and I actually had a much better angle on that vehicle than the police officer. So would I have been justified in shooting at that point? Yeah, I believe so. The only cautionary part of this is if rounds are coming from over his, well, I was off to his right oblique, for those of you that were in the military. So his right front, but more right than front. How would he have reacted to that? I don't know. Long story short, no one ever saw that I had a handgun, and that's very important. Officer 2 arrived on the scene, and then 3, 4, and 5 in quick succession, and as soon as Officer 2 was out of the vehicle and guns up, my stuff was put away, my door was closed, and it wasn't long before they actually went up to the vehicle, smashed the window because they were getting no response, and the guy was probably injured in this accident. There's a very good chance of that. And so they actually drug him out, carried him out of the vehicle, and as soon as they started doing that, it's over. My stuff's put up, and I actually managed to make a U-turn right there. Let me tell you about the 2 jackasses that had pulled in behind me. These guys, all of this is going on. They're just a little bit further than me. They still don't know. So they get out of their car, and they're coming up to my truck, and they didn't see my firearm, and they're saying, what's going on? What's going on? I was like, the cop has a gun on somebody. You need to get back behind your engine block. What do? Whoop. Cameras up, and they close in. They circle around to get behind the cop and film the thing.
That's a safe place.
Yeah. And just stupidity. But this is the kind of mentality that kids have today. And I mean, these guys were, I don't know, between 18 and 22 or something like that. Again, you need to tell your kids that that's the wrong action to take. But so as soon as I can, I got the heck out. If anything came up in the news about improper force or anything like that, heck yeah, I would have written a big statement, but there was no need for it at that point. So, I just left. And but that's not the first time that I've had to pull my firearm in an off-duty type status, off-duty CWP type status. There were 2 other times, and I'll run through these rather quickly just to kind of give you an idea of what went on. Now, I've got to stretch back to my mid-20s, yeah. And I was at a house party, and it was a friend of a friend of a friend type thing. And at the time I had a Jeep that was parked in the driveway, windows open and everything. It was a summer night, and I came out of the party. I was leaving, and I stopped to light a smoke or something by the side of my vehicle, and I heard the unmistakable sound of a 45 being racked, or the slide going home on a 45. Knew it was a 45 right off the bat. And I could see a cigarette glowing at the back of the house next door. And I said, "How you doing?" And I'm opening my car and maneuvering around my engine block to get back behind, get some cover. And I said, "How's it going?" or whatever, and start getting into the car and closing the door. The cigarette's gone, and all of a sudden this guy's coming out the front door of his house with a 45, hammer down, single action 45, tucked in the front of his belt and bowed up, walking out to my vehicle. I don't know who he is, but now he's coming towards me, and I feel I've got to talk to de-escalate, and I don't know why he's pulled the gun on me, but I feel that backing out of the driveway at that point in time without talking to this guy, I don't know if he's crazy or what. So I'm trying to assess. Well, I've already obtained my handgun, and it's in my right hand. I'm left-handed, but it's in my right hand. And he walks up on the vehicle and puts his arms up on top and leans in my window like this. Okay, well, he's got no chance to get his firearm. I've got the drop on him now. But he still can't see in the car because it's dark. And he says, "Well, you and me got a problem." I'm like, "I was just leaving, friend." He says, "We can do this." He had a speech he wanted to say. "We can do this the easy way, or we can do this." I was like, no. I'm gone. I'll never come back. And I don't know if it was a case of he thought the party was too loud, he had complained, or whatever. I don't know what the deal was, because I was just trying to get out of here. And long story short, he backed away a little bit. I put it in reverse, and I backed out of the driveway, and I kept backing. I backed all the way up the block because I wanted that engine block between me and him.
Keep your eye out.
Yep, and I backed at least another 50 yards away before I pulled into a driveway and left. Moral of the story, nobody ever knew I had a gun. I was able to de-escalate it with words, and but it could have gone another way. I've told this story to people, and some macho guys have said, "Well, you should have just hit your decock at the last minute, so he knew that he had almost been dead," or whatever, stupid stuff.
Escalated.
Yeah, escalate it more. Why not? Yeah. But I don't know. The point I'm trying to make here is you got to think through these scenarios before they ever happen. I have had a little bit more training than the average person. I'm rambling here.
Assess the situation while you're going through it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky. I've never had to do that. I've thought about putting my hand on the gun a few times.
Yep.
In situations, but when the hair sticks up a little bit in a situation, but never got into those situations. So.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is the first scenario I told you about. I could not really extricate myself out of it unless I could abandon my vehicle and go back using my vehicle as cover and move back down the street. I don't know. But I couldn't get out of there in my vehicle. And the second story, I thought that if I had just started backing out, this unknown person could have, you know, just started shooting at me and said any story that he wanted. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they both worked out. So.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. But talking about that, we've been talking about some little training, and you and I didn't talk about this before the video, but there's a new place here in town. And had you been up there yet with the shooting scenarios?
Oh no, I got invited by somebody to go check it out. So
Yeah. There is a place in town now, an indoor range, and I won't. Oh, it's outdoor.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a new range in town, and I won't like give them a shout out at this point because I hadn't even been there. But from what I'm hearing is they actually have like a Robeck type setup, and this is where they'll do scenarios,
No.
and you've got essentially what feels like a real handgun, but laser. Am I telling you?
Oh, you're talking about? Oh, I know. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
Totally, you threw me off.
It's his story.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah.
tell.
There is a place in town. It is fairly new. It is a computer generated. You got a screen. You've got a lot of different scenarios that you can go through, and they're really great scenarios. One of them is you walk into a room, there's an active shooter scenario. You walk into a room, like a lecture hall in a college campus, and there's 5 people, and you have to determine who the shooter is. They're all sitting there, and then you have to be ready when they draw on you and stuff. Yeah, really great scenarios.
So you've done the scenario?
Yeah, we did this. It was really cool. And then of course, I got to the zombie section at the end, and I killed lots and lots of zombies. But yeah, it's you know, it's like playing a big old video game, but you can actually, you know, and I put it on there a little bit because if you play a lot of video games, a lot of scenarios, things, stuff like that, it does feel a little bit like it. But you are holding a real size gun with real weight. And the only thing I didn't like is you're not reloading, which I think that was one of the things that I would really like to see in these types of tools. You know, basically to reload, you click off the screen or something like that, and it's like that's not real. But yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
See, this I've actually been assigned to go through back in the day. To go through this type of training, and the system that we used at the time was Robeck, and it is good stuff because you've got to like interact with what's going on the screen and sort it out, and that's the scenario-based stuff actually gets you thinking. I mean, you can go to your CWP class and sit there and blah blah blah, and then go ahead and do your shooting for the CWP. Here's your card. And you know, you're on your way, and with that, you're carrying such a heavy responsibility, and you need to get more training. You need to seek this stuff out.
There is a scenario in this that there's a guy and a girl, and he's yelling at the girl, and she jumps in the pickup truck, and you're facing the pickup truck, and he's standing off the side. And I ran this scenario twice, because I shot him the first time, no problem, no consequence or anything like that for me shooting him. Shot him the first time, I did it the second time, and I realized, oh, I wasn't supposed to shoot him. So, yeah, it worked out. You know, his hands were in such a place that you would have never known, so.
That's it. But, I mean, yeah, so get some more training, seek it out. I think it would be cool if we managed to do some group thing down there, or did you say, was this the same place that had like a shoot house type?
That's the place I thought you were talking about.
Okay, different place.
Yeah.
And this is a different place that he's found has sort of a shoot house type capability, that's pretty cool. Anyway, just touch a base. Thanks, folks. Stay safe.